Welcome to Fall Global Teen Wellness Hour. You know, I'm Dr. D Nice, so we got to start with a rap. I got a rap for you all about resilience. I bounced back, but I didn't bounce high. I bounced back, changed my life. I bounced back, but I didn't bounce high. I bounced back, changed my sight. Bounce back better, bounce back stronger. May go down, not for longer. I bounced back, but I didn't bounce high. I bounced back higher, better, faster, stronger. It's all about resilience for the next hour. And we are going to have 5 teens that share their experience on dealing with some of the deep issues of life and how they bounced back. We'll also have resilience expert Christian Moore sharing tips on how to bounce back, how to deal with some of life's deep, dark issues. But before all that, I have to introduce my co-host, Adorian. Adorian, where are you? He is joining us all the way from Hungary, and I'm really excited to talk to him. As you remember, hi, Adorian. See ya.
See ya. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this beautiful show.
Yes, Adorian is joining us all the way from Hungary. And as you could remember, Adorian is a motivational speaker. He inspires people across the world and the globe using his experience of riding across the world, 39 countries over 4 years by bicycle. And if you all did not hear about this amazing story, we talked about it in the last Global Teen Wellness Hour. And actually, I'll tell you a little bit more where you could find that episode to go back and check it out later on in the show. Adorian, we're talking about resilience. Tell me, what does resilience mean to you?
Thank you. So I believe resilience is a quite important thing in our life because I experienced that we always was facing with problems, with challenges, with difficult situations. And when I was traveling around the world with my bicycle, I many times faced life-threatening situations as well. And resilience means for me that I need to change from expectation to appreciation, to only accept the things what is happening me. Don't stress, don't be crazy, but try to solve all of the issues with a calm, peace mind.
What can I say about that's an amazing way to face resilience. That's a definition. As you can see, my definition for resilience is bouncing back from adversity. And also, before we bring on our first young person that's going to share their story, I do want to just stop for a second to thank our sponsors. We have Friends and Family for Health Equity. They do quarterly lives on health issues. I have everybody's description and link in the bio, in the description section. You can go and see their last YouTube broadcast, which was all about herbal remedies. It's a coalition of physicians and educators and healthcare providers that address health issues in our community. I also want to thank Compassion Healthcare. You can go to the link in the bio section and sign up for their monthly newsletter where they talk about different issues that are facing our health, like diabetes, high blood pressure, just basic health care. And then, of course, OSG. Thank you, OSG. OSG is a coalition of educators that are all about changing the educational landscape, and I appreciate their help and their support. And once again, you can find a link for all our sponsors in the description. Okay, Adorian, let's see who we're going to talk to first.
Let's go.
I think it's Anthony. Hey, Anthony, are you there?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Anthony. Wonderful.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining. Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a freshman at Cornell University studying mechanical engineering.
So you're a smart guy, basically, is what you're telling us. I mean, you're at an upper echelon university and you didn't even choose a simple degree. You chose engineering.
Yes, I did.
Well,
Cool.
thank you for being here. And you know the subject is about resilience. And
Yes.
Adorian,
Yeah,
I'm
do
sure
you
you
have
have
any
a question.
stories for us regarding resilience?
Yes, I do. So I
Can
was
you
in
please share
10th
with
grade.
us?
I will. So I was in 10th grade and I was at the lowest point in my life. I was feeling very sad, lonely, and depressed. But I was like, I can't stay like this. I have to make a rebound. So I started to work on myself. I decided to be more social. I started talking to more people, getting out of my comfort zone. I would see people in the elevator. I would start small conversations with them. I would sit with new people in the lunchroom table, trying to build connections. And most importantly, I tried to make more time for other people instead of always just being by myself. In terms of work, I had to like fix my work schedule because I was not being as productive as I wanted to be, and my grades were slipping. So I had to fix that. I like built more better study habits. I planned my days with schedules. I decided to be more organized with my day while still allowing myself to be flexible because things don't always go to plan. And most importantly, I needed to build a better connection with family because I feel like I had a disconnect with family and that didn't allow me to go to them for help. I always had this mentality of going through things by myself, but that's not the best mentality you want to have. So I decided to build better connections with family.
Thank
And
you. And what made you make these decisions? So when you went down and somehow you just could decide to go back and go an upper level of energy, how could you do this? What was your motivation or inspiration?
Well, I did self-reflection and I realized that I would never get to where I wanted to in life if I just stayed at where I was. People, you can't just be unsocial in life and you can't just be disconnected from everything around you. You have to involve yourself in order to move forward in life. So that was my self-reflection that led to change.
that is so intuitive of you. That's not many 10th graders can have such deep intuition. Is depth and where how did you manage to be so deep about it? Where did that come from?
That, well, I like to consider myself a thinker. I like to think about the problem at hand and reflect and see how I could fix the problem. So that's where the deep thinking came from.
Anthony, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's a
Mhm.
story of resilience. So many young people that are watching right now are currently going through depression. And I know you won't be able to stay on to the very end of the show because what class is it that you're heading towards?
My chemistry lab.
Your chemistry. You're off the chemistry lab. You're taking care of your future. And so, do you have a one word about dealing with depression that to encourage some of the young people that are watching that may be struggling with that also?
Don't go through it alone. Seek help. There's help out there. There are a lot of people who would rather talk to you about your problems than see you suffer in silence.
That is resilience.
Yeah,
Resilience.
very beautiful.
Dorian, you also experienced something that. Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate your time. Enjoy your chemistry lab, and until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah, I really like this story.
Yes, Dorian, you had similar incident when you were growing up, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple of times I had to make a big decision. Otherwise, so I was in the middle of something, and if I didn't do decision, then I would have gone down more and more down. And sometimes the best thing is to command ourselves and don't let us go down, but decide to go back, bounce back.
Yeah. And I also just throw in there from a medical perspective, this happened to to Anthony while he was in the 10th grade. He's still sort of in puberty a little bit then. And there's a lot of hormonal and body changes that are happening during this time that can cause a little bit of confusion, that can offset the balance of your life and cause you to go through a time where you're just, what is going on with me? And you have to find strength to move through that. And sometimes the strength, the resilience comes from just understanding that this is a normal phase of life that you're going through. All right. So our next person we're going to bring on is Maria. Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. ¿Cómo
Nice to
está?
see
Estoy bien.
you. I'm struggling with one language. And how many do you speak, Adorian?
Sorry?
How many languages?
I speak Hungarian, of course, English, German. I speak Spanish, a little bit Japanese, a little bit Farsi, and a couple of languages, little bit. Because when I was traveling around the world, I tried always to pick up some words from the country I was cycling.
So you speak a bunch, and I speak one. And Maria, you're what? How many languages do you speak, Maria?
Two. I'm
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is, do you have any story for us regarding resilience?
I do. So this one is this story is about sports, specifically soccer. And it's about when I started playing. So I started playing soccer at the age of 10, which is considered a late age to sports for sports. And so by 11, I had the basics down, how to, pass the ball and stuff like that. But I just knew that that wasn't enough. And the other kids that I was playing with, they had been playing since 7 and 8. And so this meant that their skills were more advanced and they were just more experienced in the game. And I started to worry and I compared my abilities to those of my teammates, and my performance started to decrease. My self-esteem and confidence were also low at this point in my life. And it wasn't until my father, who is a soccer coach and he was also a soccer player himself, he told me that there was no pressure and that instead of thinking of the things that I couldn't do, I had to change and shift that perspective to things that, to start thinking about things that I can do. And so he helped me a lot. And I started to think about different ways I could be my best self. And the first one that popped into my mind was just working harder and practicing more.
Amazing.
Yeah. A lot of young people don't really reach out to their parents as a source of strength when they're going through these things. They feel like their parents they would never understand what's happening to me. What inside of you, what made you realize that, you know what, my dad is somebody I need to reach out to? I'm going through this difficult time.
Yeah. Well, he taught me how to play soccer. And so I just knew that he was somebody that I could trust. And I guess the type of bond and relationship that we've always had has made me be able to always speak to him about things that worry me. And he's also been a type of person who's never judgmental.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Because you can feel safe next to him. And I also liked when you say that you could change your perspective from the problems to the solution, to see the positive sides and what you can do. It's many times I think this is the right way, not to be in the problem, but seek for solution. And there is always a way, I like to say.
Yes.
Maria, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we'll see you at the end.
Thank you.
Who is gonna next?
Well, I mean, what I was thinking, it's so important, and I just want to reinforce to the young people that are watching that A wise person learns from other people's mistakes, and the adults around you have experienced so much of life. Sometimes you forget that your parents were teenagers, your teachers were teenagers, your pastor or the person at the grocery store was a teenager, and they have things that they can share with you. If you remember to look for advice, to look for help in the adults around you, because they have gone through things and can help you go through some of the tough things in life.
Yes, I totally agree. They are much more experienced than the younger generation. So it's a nice, good idea to ask them, ask for their support and knowledge.
Yes.
Yes.
Jaylah is next. We're really excited to talk to Jaylah. Hi, Jaylah.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Jaylah. Where are you joining us from?
Research and Service High School.
In New York City, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really like your hair. Very cool.
Thank you.
So, Jaylah,
So,
go ahead, Dorian.
yeah, do you have any stories about resilience for us?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and share it with us. You know, you're with friends. You're with friends. I know that looks like some nervous laughter, but there's nothing to be nervous about. You've got this. We tell us about it, because I know you have. Here's the thing. This is something that a lot of young people have dealt with and are dealing with. And if you need to share your experience with it, so don't feel judged. We got you.
Yes.
I have two examples, but the main one I want to talk about is a death of a family, because me and my grandfather was like close. Like that's the person I would go to when I needed somebody to talk to, or when I need something. He was always there for me, and I was like his little talking buddy, basically. So I think like 2 years ago, a year ago, we had got a call saying he didn't feel good. So we took him to the doctor. They said he was fine. And then 2 days later, or a day later, he went back to the hospital, and they said again that he was okay. But then 3 hours later, they pronounced him he was dead. So that really took a toll on me, because, like I said, we was always so close. And I went into depression because of that, and I had a lot of panic attacks, anxiety attacks about it. The way that I coped with it was I will always like a candle, and or like write a balloon, or like get a balloon and write like a little note to him, let it go, or I'll write a letter to him and burn it and let it go with the wind, or I would just think of like the good times we had together, and also think about like he's not suffering no more, so he's in a better place. It's just I would have preferred him here, but he decided to move on, and he's not struggling no more to survive no more. So
Yeah, that's such a good way to look at loss, because sometimes some people, they are hurting when they're here, they're sick, they're in the hospital, and they die, because death is a part of life. So I was glad that you're able to go through that. Did you have anybody that you relied on during this time?
I would say I had a couple friends and cousins that I would talk to, but mainly my mom and dad, because they knew how close we were. And my father was always there more because that was his dad. So we had the same emotion again, like towards the death of it. And me, my dad, and my grandfather were like the little trio. It was always us three. So me and my dad would really sit there, laugh at old jokes my grandfather told us, and just thought about the good times where, like, my graduation, when I went to, like, I graduated middle school, went to high school. He was there, just laughing, screaming my name, cheering me on. So we just thought about all the good times with him, and then that's how we really coped with it. Now we just sit there and just talk about him, like, oh, how we miss him, his laugh. It's it's going good little by little, not too much though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like when you say that it's going little by little. So sometimes we need to give us time to to understand what's going on inside us and slowly let it go. I like to say that we always can live our emotions. Don't force to be super positive because when you sad, then you can be sad. It's not a problem. But thank you for this amazing story.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jaylah, for sharing this. And I bet you there's some young person out there that has lost a loved one that is going to rely on this to help them deal with it, to help them deal with this loss. Thank you, Jaylah.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Will
you.
you be hanging out? We'll see you at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see you in just a little bit. Dorian, what I did want to mention is
Yes.
that a lot of times people don't really understand that death is inevitable. And there are a couple of facts that are out there about death is that people that tends to have some sort of religious association tend to handle death better because it's talked about more in those circles,
Mm-hmm.
and they have come to some kind of understanding about what death is and what happens after death. And so they're able to move through some of the process of grief a little better. Also, people that have a good relationship with the person that died, they tend to handle the death better because there is, if you had a bad relationship, there's no opportunity to fix it. And I'm thinking of a couple of things that happened recently in pop culture. We had Aaron Carter. He died and he had a bad relationship with his family. We had Takeoff from the Migos. He died, and there was some rift in the group, especially with his the other member that is called Offset. And they're probably going to have a harder time dealing with the loss than the other person in the group, which is Quavo, which he already had a good relationship. I have to insert a little bit of pop culture, but understand when you have a good relationship with somebody, it's easier to deal with their death.
Yes, yes. That's why it's good to practice to use our heart and express our emotions and learn how to love ourselves and everybody else.
Yes, for sure. Minu, I think we have Minu that's next. Looking forward
Yes.
to talking to her. Hi, Minu.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Welcome.
Great. Yes. Great to be
Where
here.
are you from?
I currently live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
And Minu, you have actually a combination story of resilience that you want to share with us. I don't know which one you wanted to dive into quick first, or which one you wanted to give more airtime.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just go chronologically. So, my name is Minu Lee. I'm only 21 years old. I go to North Carolina State University studying political science. And up until 2 days ago, I was running for office. But my first story is, I was born in South Korea, and when I was a month old, my parents, my two older sisters, and we moved to the United States, and searching for that better opportunity, searching for that American dream. And when we came to the United States, we didn't have that much money. We made ends meet. We lived paycheck to paycheck, and we had to lean on a lot of friends over here in America to have the sort of support system to lift us up, so that we were able to set up and maintain a small business here in Raleigh, and we managed to grow that small business in such a way that it's successful to this day. And for the longest time, up until I was about 13 or 14, we would be living in 1 to 2 bedroom apartments, on the ground, with sheets on the ground. And so it really is a story of just coming from nothing and leaning on the support system and growing from there. But the second story that I want to very briefly share is that I was running for Raleigh City Council, District B, up until 2 days ago. And, sadly, we did not get the results that we had expected to get. But, we managed to get 8,000 votes. And we managed to show that, we a 21-year-old first-generation Korean-American immigrant, can really stand a chance at winning office, at winning a seat at the table. So, yeah.
And but you got some votes though, didn't you? As an unknown in the political arena, what, 8,000 votes?
Exactly. 8,000. Yep. So 31% of the vote right there.
that is extremely good, especially. And what do you plan to do with that? What do you plan to do with this loss?
Well, I'm looking at it as a positive. I mean, we got 31% of the vote. We won 6 out of the 18 precincts in my district. And so, we're going to go forward from there. I'm ready to get back and keep up the good fight.
Cool. So there is no loss, there is no failure, but learning from the things. I also like your story when you mentioned that you didn't have too much money, and when I was traveling around the world, I spent mostly $5 was my daily budget, and for 4 years, and it was tough. And I'm really happy for that experience because I learned how to value everything and to be nice to the environment and to be grateful. Yeah, so sometimes the things what happening with us, it's something what we can learn as well.
So with what Adoran said, Minu, how do you feel that growing up in poverty, how do you feel that effect helped you to be more resilient?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just like he said. I think, it's like I have this fresh, new perspective that I'm able to look at things from, I didn't grow up asking for a lot. My parents tried to shield me from the sort of poverty aspect, but, I caught on pretty quick, So to this day, I try to be very frugal and, so but it does help in terms of, hey, things can get better. You just need a good support system.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Minu. I appreciate this. And vote for Minu. Adoran, as he was talking, I did want us to point out something about loss. And
yes.
Minu, I asked him when we were talking before, and we didn't mention it here, but he did actually take some time to mourn the loss. He looks happy today, but it was a sad time for him to have lost that. And one of the things I recommend to people with failure, because this was a failure, he felt like a failure. This is a goal he was trying to achieve, and he did not get to achieve it. When you failed something, take the time to mourn the loss, because if you don't, it kind of stays inside you and grows into a lot of things. It can even cause some chronic diseases later on. So no matter what loss or where you think you failed, maybe you felt that you've had a child at a time when you shouldn't have. And that was one of the stories that Jaylah wanted to share with us earlier. And maybe later on, I'll give her an opportunity to say something. But maybe just you failed a test, something as simple as a test. It does not matter. You have to accept it for what it is, mourn that loss, and figure out how you're going to live past that.
Yes, this is how we work, I believe. There is also a psychological graph, which is the graph of change. And when something bad happening with us, then first we are denying, and then we got frustrated. And so we need time to go back and then learn and grow. And it's always good to give us time.
Yes, wonderful. And we've got our last young people person, Barnabas. Barnabas, where are you?
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, Barnabas.
Really, where are you? You're coming all the way from Germany, aren't you?
Yes, I live in Germany right now. I work as a sous chef, which is second in command, and I work very hard in the kitchen today to keep it real clean.
What time is it over there in Germany?
It's 7:30 p.m.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, same as in Hungary.
Yes.
So you and Adorian share a common language, don't you?
Yes, we both speak Hungarian, and I think we are both from Hungary.
Mhm.
And yes, a bit of German too.
You're gonna have to throw something out. It's Global Teen Wellness Hour. At least throw something out there for us.
Okay, how about we say some Hungarian? What do you think, Dorian?
Beszéljünk egy kicsit magyarul, biztos, hogy nem fognak semmit megérteni belőle a nézők. Most jó,
Beszéljünk egy kicsit
kibeszélhetjük őket.
magyarul. Hát azért mégiscsak nekik köszönhetjük, hogy itt lehetünk és sokat segítenek, de igen.
Igen, köszönjük szépen.
Köszönjük
This is
szépen.
how we talk in Hungarian.
Now I need a translation. What did you all say? I hope you weren't talking about me.
No, we just thank the audience for coming and having a wonderful time.
Yes. And I also said that I'm sure that nobody will know what we are talking about because Hungarian is totally different language than comparing to English.
So,
It's difficult.
Barnabas, please share with us. You've experienced some recent issues with resilience where you've had to dig deep for some resilience on a huge issue. Throw it out there. Let's hear it.
So I went to Ukraine since the start of the war. I've been there 3 times. I've been there a total of 3 weeks. And I brought a lot of humanitarian aid with one of the biggest Hungarian Baptist church from Hungary. It was a really hard mission to go into those vital points in Ukraine where the help is most needed. And for me, this was really hard because at the time of the start of the war, I lived in Hawaii and I had a great life. Everything was perfect. I went to the beach and I had the nicest life I could ask for. People even dream of that. And when I turned on the news one day and I saw that this war broke out, I was heartbroken seeing young people like myself getting broken up from their families and sending them to war for no reason, just aggression. And I felt really sad. My soul was blackened by this hatred, and I wanted to help. So I gathered up all my allowance and work money and everything I had, bought a plane ticket, went to Hungary, talked to some guys at the Hungarian Baptist Church if I could go out and help with them. And we actually got it. So I went down to Ukraine 3 times with them, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a great feeling that I could help. I could be a small help in a really big problem, and that felt really good.
So, Barnabas, I mean, I know you may have said it and kind of may have glossed over it, but how old are you?
I'm currently 18. My birthday is going to be in 8 days.
Oh, happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Everybody, somebody make sure you say happy birthday to Barnabas in the chat, okay? But, okay, so Barnabas, I mean, I was 18 once, and I'm pretty sure there was some sort of war happening in the world when I was 18. I don't recall sitting there in my 18-year-old life saying, I need to do something with this thing that is so huge. Where did that come from?
So usually on the weekends we go out to the beach and, we just have fun, right? And after I saw the news that it is the war is going on in a neighboring country that we used to be a part of as well, like Kárpátalja used to be a little part of Hungary. And my mom asked that, do we want to go to the beach that day? And I said, I cannot enjoy my little life anymore in the way I did if I don't go and help and I do whatever I can to help the people in need. I felt a personal responsibility to do whatever small, big help that I can.
It's a very mature feeling and act what you have done, I think. Very, very nice that you already responsible person, which is maybe the first step to being a mature, being a conscious, being a man with consciousness.
It is the
Now,
human thing to do.
were you always, was this the first time you found yourself wanting to tackle something big like this, or is this, it's been a steady theme throughout your life?
Thanks to my father and my mother, we traveled a lot throughout the world, and it's been a steady thing helping others. We went to Haiti also with the same church, went to Sri Lanka, Rwanda, all these really poor and almost destroyed countries. These are beautiful countries. Every place in the world is beautiful, but bad things can happen to anyone. And we helped a lot of people in need, and I want to continue this wherever I can. If it's just one guy on the street, no problem. I go there, ask, what can I do? If nothing, I just ask someone else if they can help, right? If something bigger, then I'll do my best to help anyone I can.
So what you're telling me, you're telling me it's in your DNA. Your parents taught you to want to help, and even if the issues seem so large, you dive right in. And what your sources? What are your sources? Your source of your resilience? What was the source of your resilience?
My resilience was my father, and still is. He just turned 50 years old a couple of days ago, so happy birthday for him. Another 50 happy years. And he is my inspiration to everything. He was stuck in the Yugoslavian war, and he lived through hell. He was the only Hungarian neutral part of the war, and he was 18. He was stuck there after 3 days of his graduation. So he knew everything about it, and since then a lot of years passed, and he knows how to deal with these kind of issues and feelings, and he taught me how to deal with them the same way he did, what worked, what didn't work, right? And it's a great inspiration. He, to this day, he still helps the same way he did back in the day. He brought home to Hungary the last POW from World War II, and he did a lot of great things. And I am really proud that he taught me the way he did, and I turned out the way I turned out to be like.
I'm sure he's a wonderful person.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I do have to say there's a connection there. My husband is actually from Haiti and lived there to his full adult life. And I appreciate you going there. Thank you so much for wanting to tackle these huge problems.
Yes.
Dorian, yeah, one of the things I do want to thank you, but we'll see at the end, I'm sure, Barnabas. One of the things I want to make sure people understand that, yes, you may be sitting at home feeling burdened down by huge, huge things, and you have no idea what to do, how to engage in it. And it's sometimes just one little thing. Maybe you could donate something, reach out and find places that are helping and lend your resources and your time to help some of these things. What other ways do you have where people can actually help when people are dealing with larger issues, larger than life issues?
First of all, there is a saying that think global, act local. So even if you had a big problem, big issue in your mind, then you can do your own part. For example, really small things. I like to switch off the light when I go out of a room or something. So don't overconsume electricity. Or if I finished washing my teeth, I immediately close the tap. Those are like small things, but we all can do things to make life easier and better, and to create a better future where we can live better. So this is what I can suggest to you, to do little things, and it counts. Everything counts, and also not just.
This actually is I know you have a message for our audience, and I'll let you give an opportunity to go ahead and share your message of motivation to our audience.
All right. So my message is that don't be afraid to have problems, to have challenges, to have difficult issues, stories. It's part of life. What you need to do is to accept that life is life, and always practice to be stronger, to be a better person. If you are down, just try somehow to put yourself back and put yourself back again and back again. And this is a kind of emotional muscle. The more the challenges you have, the stronger you became. So this is my message, that don't let life put you down, but try to be stronger mentally and emotionally as well.
Thank you, Dorian. And our special guest, it is time for our special guest. And I have to tell you all about Christian Moore. Christian Moore is an internationally renowned speaker, licensed clinical social worker, and advocate for youth. He is the author of The Resilience Breakthrough, 27 Tools for Turning Adversity into Action. He was a commencement speaker in the School of Education at Johns Hopkins University and spoke at the White House, convening for the Reach Higher initiative. Christian found his passion in social work, the WhyTry program, which has been implicated over 25,000 organizations. Christian has flown over 6 million miles and reached over 3 million kids with his message of resilience. He lives in the Rocky Mountains with his wife, 2 sons, and their dog, Bandit. We really want to thank you so much, Christian, for taking the time from what's your busy schedule, zip-zapping across the world, to talk to us about resilience.
Wow, is this heaven? I thought I just must have passed away and just entered a resilient heaven, man. Holy cow! There's man, you guys. Man, I talk about resilience. The life stories I just heard on resilience are absolutely amazing. And you know what hopefully I say your name right. Adrian was just mentioning is, you know, we have to have that difficulty, that suffering. People always ask me, what's the number one thing a person has to have to be resilient? And I always say, you know, if resilience is the ability to bounce back, we have to have something to bounce back from. And so suffering is kind of the gateway to being resilient. And you know, everybody's story here was amazing on that. And I don't know if you realize it or not, the 5 last, youth here that really spoke, you all actually shared 5 different evidence-based things on resilience. You have Anthony, talked a lot about, scheduling time to be with those support systems, spending time with people. He would self-isolate, and he realized to be resilient, he had to have those relationships. And then, mass data behind that. Maria talked about being in a non-judgmental environment. For her to bounce back, she had to be around her dad, who was non-judgmental. And, we live in a world that's either going to be the people we're around are going to be highly judgmental. It's going to be conditional love. And conditional love works great in the business world. But we know what we're here gathered together today has nothing to do with business. It's the ability to bounce back. And a human being is much more likely to bounce back in an unconditional environment where people know your strengths and weaknesses. So I just want to say to all my friends out there, if you're with people and you feel worse in your heart, your soul, when you're with them, they're not going to increase your resilience. To be resilient, you've got to be around as many unconditional people as possible. Give you a quick example. When I was diagnosed this last year with type 2 diabetes, it was kind of my crisis, my opposition I had to deal with. And Dr. D. Nice reached out to me where I was doing some work with her professionally with OSG. And she's like, hey, Christian. And I'm thinking, man, how much is it going to cost to have this doctor reach out and help me? And she volunteered her time to help me. And that's another thing that has a huge impact on resilience is turning outward, doing something for someone else with no thought of anything in return. What Barnabas just gave a discourse on, helping out in Ukraine 3 times. Resilience takes place in the turning outward. Your resilience will go down. If I'm focused on Christian Moore, my resilience will crash. If I focus on other human beings, my resilience will go up. It's kind of a built-in thing into the human condition. Is we would think that being selfish, if I take care of myself, me, but it's really resilience takes place in the outward approach. And, I love what Jaylah talked about, not letting the memory of her grandfather die. And what's really important around death, when someone dies, is they're gone. But we have the opportunity to be the voice, the hands, the feet for people who've passed away. So we can take an attribute that they have that's powerful, one of their attributes that's special about them, and we can carry that. My oldest brother, his name's Billy, he passed away a couple of years ago, was killed in a car accident. Billy was a police officer, and I'm a social worker now. So, Billy's attribute was very similar to Barnabas, was, turning outward. And so I honor Billy's attribute of him turning outward in the, and giving this speech right this second. I'm like, I'm gonna speak as much as I can from my heart. I want to be as authentic, and it's taking the attribute of those that have passed away and keeping those attributes alive through us. That's one powerful way to deal with death. And just like Adrienne said, it's going to be time. Time is a big factor in that happening. So you guys, I know I'm kind of jumping all over the map here, but you guys, y'all did my work for me. You guys are all resilient.
So what was your learning point from what Minu said?
I just found my long lost family. Where y'all been my whole life?
I know. What was?
Sorry?
And did I lose you there? And I didn't get a chance to talk about Minu, but Minu, man, you got my vote for president. Please run for president of the United States. We need you, man. We need you. And, going from 8,000 votes, I think your next election, you're going to get 16,000 votes, and then 20, then 50, then hopefully you're running for a national office, because we need people who are resilient in these positions and have that maturity. So, Minu, I can tell your maturity. I can tell you were doing this to help people, man. And we need more politicians like you, man. So stay in the race. Don't go anywhere, Minu. Don't go anywhere.
So, Christian.
Yeah.
Resilience. Yeah. Breakthrough. Your book. You talk about 4 different ways, 4 different types of resilience. Can you take some time to break that down for us? Because, these are more tools that people can add to their tool belts to understanding how to be more resilient and what they need to do to be resilient.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 types of resilience. We have skills of resilience. Skills are things we've already talked about: hard work, determination, perseverance, not shutting down, turning outward, putting one foot in front of another. Those are skills. But what I wanted to know is, where does resilience come from internally? Sometimes my mind, my brain will tell me my weaknesses, and one thing that's really important to be resilient is when your head hits the pillow at night, you got to give yourself some grace first. You got to give yourself what I call self-grace. You got to focus on, what did I do right today? How can I do more of that tomorrow? There's no shortage of people who will focus on what's wrong with you. You do not need to do that to yourself. There will always be haters that will focus on what's wrong. And to be a self, you never want to be a self-hater. You only want to focus on grace for you. And that self-forgiveness is huge to resilience. So that ties to a type of internal resilience called street resilience. Street resilience, and these are the 4 sources of resilience that Dr. DeNice is asking about. One of them is this street resilience, where you use any type of disrespect or past mistake as a reason to put one foot in front of another. You have to remember that to be human is to make mistakes. To be human is to mess up, to fall short. It's actually what's most special about you. This is a whole nother lens of seeing the world. But if you didn't mess up, if you didn't make mistakes, you would be a robot. You would be a machine. The birthplace of humanity, and you could even argue the birthplace of our resilience, is in our mistakes. It's in our mess ups. It's in learning from those things and becoming greater. But so many of us have been socialized the opposite. It's in our perfection that makes us special. It's really not. It's in, and if you're around people that are perfect all the time, they don't have opposition, or one, they're lying to you, but 2, they're you just can't get close to them. Resilience and intimacy and authenticity are really tied together. And the reason why this has been a really special meeting today is because we opened up with real authenticity, people talking about their real pain, and we all felt that real pain. And then, we're looking at ways to channel that pain in productive ways. So street resilience where you use disrespect and your own mistakes as a fuel source. For example, I was told I couldn't go to college. I was illiterate when I was 17 years old, had learning disabilities. And so I told, when I went to write a book, they told me I couldn't write a book. When I started creating a documentary film, they told me not to create a documentary film. My whole life, I started a podcast. They told me not to start a podcast. No one will listen to it. My whole life, I've had to take no and turn it to next option. And being resilient is always looking for the next option. And so that's that street resilience. The other place resilience comes from that's really powerful, that almost everybody here just gave a discourse on about these support systems, is called relational resilience. And that's where you go through the motions, you don't give up because another person needs you and you need them. The more people where we're independent, where we need each other, our resilience goes up. And what's really powerful, I love how international this is, because you see that even as countries around the world, we need each other. We're all interconnected. And that relational resilience is so important. So the international component of this is unbelievable. And I know we've talked about Hungary a few times today. I have several friends that are from Hungary, and the Hungarian people are, if you don't know the history of Hungary, they are highly resilient. What they've had to overcome, what we see happening in Ukraine, what Hungary's already dealt with, it is unbelievable. And the Hungarian people are some of the kindest, most loving people on the planet because they understand resilience. I do want to pay tribute to my friends from Hungary there. So I do know your history, and it is a powerfully resilient history. And I wish more Americans understood that history, because if we don't understand that history, we're going to go through some of the pain that Hungary went through, and it's not okay. We have to understand that stuff. The other thing that's really powerful is after relational resilience is something called resource resilience. And you guys are a great example of that. Is all any of us can do is maximize the resources available to us. For example, I had 2 skills growing up. I could talk nonstop. So when I was in school, they sent me to the principal's office every 5 minutes for speaking nonstop. Today, I'm paid to speak nonstop. So the principal would beat me with a wood paddle for my nonstop speaking. You guys are going to be sitting here for the next 3 minutes thinking, how do we get him to stop talking? Because we got to end this presentation. I'm a therapist. I'm aware, but I didn't get this far following rules. And so what I'm saying is you have to maximize the resources available to you, how much money you do or do not have in the bank. When Adrian was talking about he's living on $5 a day. $5 a day. When I was 28 years old, I had never made over $6 an hour because of my academic challenges. And what you learn from that, when you have to sacrifice something, give something up, is so powerful, but it also can become a resource to you. Like if I kind of chuckle sometimes to people, what would happen if you went out of business? And I essentially did go out of business during COVID. I live in a nice house now. I have nice resources, but I have a huge advantage on most people around me because I could lose my car. I could lose my house. I could go live in a dive apartment. Because I don't come from nothing. I'm not afraid of nothing. Does that make sense? People who've had their basic needs met their whole lives, they're actually at a resilient disadvantage because what will impact them is not going to impact Adrian. Does that make sense? Because he has been to the bottom and back again. And when he was traveling on that bicycle, when his legs were burning, he had nothing left in his body. He's by himself. He has to go up that hill. He's got that truck blowing by him. But what he did is he tapped into that internal resilience. He tapped into the resources available to him. He could only climb that hill right in front of him. And that's all any of us can do is climb that mountain in the moment. And that's why a lot of resilience doesn't take place in the past. The past has always happened. The future is out there. Resilience takes place in the now. And you don't reach, like I've never obtained resilience. Resilience takes place in the striving. It's the effort effect. It's never a destination. It's the effort, again, while you're climbing that mountain, when you keep pedaling, that's where the resilience takes place. It's not when you stop and get the nice meal, the nice coffee, and you can take a breath. That's not where the resilience is. Actually, your resilience is leaving in those moments usually. The resilience takes place in the climb, in the effort effect, not the stopping point. And that's a really important thing to understand with resilience. And then the fourth place that resilience comes from is rock bottom resilience. And that's when you have every reason to give up. You have to do something we call flipping the switch. You have to ask yourself, how do I use this suffering? How do I use this difficulty as a resource, as my best friend? That's flipping the switch. So if this is a model of resilience, the first thing you have to do is you have to have suffering to be resilient. The second thing you have to do is if you have suffering, you're going to have negative emotions. And if you don't hear anything else I said in this short time with you, is when those negative emotions kick in, because if you have suffering, you're going to have negative emotions. There's no law in the universe that says you cannot channel a negative emotion in productive ways. And what you heard everybody here in this meeting today, everybody shared examples on how they created something productive with something painful. And that's flipping the switch. But it starts with a question. You have to ask yourself, how do I use this challenge? Right now, I don't even have pre-diabetes because I said to myself, how do I use having diabetes as a reason to eat better, to be a better father, to be more loving, to be more patient with other people who are maybe dealing with a physical illness or dealing with a trauma in their lives. So you have to flip that switch. And then you have to maximize. It's like a car battery. You can maximize both your positive and negative emotions. For a battery to work, both the positive and the negative connection has to work. Well, you have twice the fuel source to bounce back if you can access both your positive and negative emotions. And most people are never taught what to do with their negative emotions. They're taught to get rid of their negative emotions. If you go to any library, you go to the self-help section or the resilience section of the library, they're going to emphasize pretty much just positive self-talk. And when we study people who are resilient, and you just heard from everybody here that spoke, everybody here took pain. When Jaylah was talking about the pain of her grandfather, you could hear the love she had for her grandfather. And she took that pain. When her and her father sit down and they reminisce about this amazing man, her grandfather, that in that reminiscing, they're flipping that switch. They're taking pain of missing grandpa and they're creating a productive outcome. They're coming closer together. When she is at her own kid's graduation and she's screaming for them, she's going to think of grandpa. And so the ability to maximize both our positive and negative emotions doubles our resilience. And again, very few people have been taught what you're learning right now. 90% of people on this planet think to thrive, to do well, they have to think positive things. That's the whole positive psychology movement. And that might be, if this was a workshop on success in business, maybe that works in that world. But in the world of resilience, you got to maximize both your positive and negative emotions. And your negative emotions in the world of resilience are probably going to be far, far more important. And that's what I wish I took me till I was in my 40s to know how to create a productive outcome. When I feel sadness, when I feel depression, I've had anxiety my whole life. I've never not had anxiety for a minute on this planet. But I talked to the anxiety. I said, okay, Mr. Anxiety, the other day I had to give a speech to 1,000 people. And I said, hey, Mr. Anxiety, you're going to give the speech with me. You're not going anywhere. So if I fight the anxiety, I go, I got to get rid of it, I'm more likely to have a panic attack. But I walk with that anxiety. I walk with that depression. I walk with that fear. As it relates to war, I'm going to fight to lower war. Why do we hate each other? It's usually out of fear. We have to justify to hate another human being. To hate someone is in a justification. And
Thank you so much, Christian.
I'll be quiet. I just get excited.
No. This is
me too.
You hit it. You hit all the points, and I'm pretty sure that everyone knows exactly what they need to do to be resilient. And what I hear is it's okay to embrace the difficulties in life because that's what makes you grow. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's the key ingredient. And when you know it's the key ingredient, then the fear of it goes away. So most of our pain is because of fear. And so when you realize that the suffering is the gateway to break from those fears, then it loses its power over you. And if you see the work that everybody here has done, you guys have all done it. I'm just good at maybe succinct. I study the details of it, but every one of you gave a discourse on what it takes to be resilient. This has been an incredible event. I've been very impressed.
Thank you so much, Christian. And I'm going to encourage everybody to head over to WhyTry.com and get this book. Also, while you're here,
.org. Yeah.
WhyTry.org. And in addition to that, remember here at We have on YouTube that comes on every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget to join the live. We talk about issues, all issues dealing with teenagers. Subscribe to the Wisdom Teething YouTube channel. You will not regret that decision at all. And we're here for our wrap up. Bring on each person that was here today. Jaylah, where are you at? Maria, where are you at? Barnabas, where are you? Minu, are you still here with us? I'm going to go around the room, and Maria is still here. I'm going to go around, and I just need for you all to each give one powerful phrase about resilience. We're going to start with Maria.
I would say start thinking positively and learning how to take your weaknesses, learning how to turn them into your strengths.
Jaylah, you're on.
One thing I would say is never go through anything alone, because you'll always find somebody that's going through a similar situation that could always talk.
Wonderful. Minu, you're on. It's all up to you now. Bring it on.
I'm going to paraphrase Mr. Rogers. Always look for the helpers.
Always look for the helpers. Barnabas, what do you have for us?
No one can walk away from their own story.
No one. Yes. Ooh, okay. Dorian, I know you have something.
Yes, don't be afraid to have challenges. Just leave it and go through it. It works.
Christian, one quick word.
Hey, love yourself, and the sun always comes through the darkest clouds.
That's right. And for me, Wisdom Teethinger, hey, listen, get your mind right and your body tight, and you will be able to win this fight. All right, everyone, we're done for today. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, here at Wisdom Teethinger, we get you peace and love. Don't forget love. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Goodbye.
for tuning in. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you.